we doing, people? Welcome back to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch's 8th roundtable is what this is. We're going to spend our time today kind of going over some of just, I guess, stuff that we determined we needed to do a breakdown of and maybe explain our point of view towards each one of the experiences that happened.
Excuse me, my allergies.
And you know, show a couple. I guess we got a diagram and some eye shines here of some different animals and stuff that we're going to go over as well. Right off the bat, I think we're going to bring up the Bauman story, and it's Bauman, right?
It could be Bauman or Bauman. B-A-U-M-N-A-N. It's probably Bauman.
Either way, it's the story from Teddy Roosevelt that he put in his book. Talked about a couple trappers beaver trapping up on the border of Montana and Idaho. That these guys are lucky enough to go spend the weekend up tracking down the actual location. So
yeah, Teddy Roosevelt writes about it in his book called The Wilderness Hunter, and this book come out in the 1890s. But a couple of trappers in the Bitterroot Forest on the Montana-Idaho border, one of them are killed by a Bigfoot. And we want to be the first people to get in there and do the sighting report story at the location. We really feel like we have found the location with all the evidence that's been left behind over the years. We've located it on a map, and we just know we can get in there within a couple of miles and do the sighting report story.
that's cool.
So that's what we're going to be doing next week, maybe a couple of weeks before the story comes out, after our little trip back there, but we're doing the story. And it's a pretty famous story because Teddy Roosevelt wrote about it.
Something he was pretty determined that he's a Bigfoot believer, or at least in something for sure.
Yeah, he thinks he had a Bigfoot experience when he was on an expedition into the wildernesses in the state of Washington. He thinks he had a Bigfoot experience there. So, and this guy Bauman was one of his best friends, and he believes the account that Bauman gave him. So, gives a lot of credibility to the story.
True.
What did Teddy Roosevelt have happen to him in Washington? What happened?
Vocalization. Something come in close to the camp that him and his crew were at in the middle of the night, and it spooked the horses and stuff, and it vocalized. He said it sounded menacing. It, he had hunted grizzly bears, black bears, and he's heard all assortments of creatures. He was an outdoorsman. As a matter of fact, his nickname was the Rough Rider, because he was always out riding out on the countryside and stuff. So, Teddy Roosevelt said he thought he had a wild man or a Bigfoot experience where it actually vocalized towards them at the campsite.
It growled at him.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Very menacing.
It sounds better when you go into deep depth. He growled at him.
I just remember his account that I read about. He says it sounded menacing.
That's awesome. All right. So that's actually yet to be determined on that whole thing. So we're just letting you know that that's what's coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about our most recent, and we'll go through these chronologically or something. Our most recent experience with flying the drone up in the 77 sighting location. I guess just to give our 2 cents. How about you go ahead and give us your 2 cents on
It's
this?
a very active Bigfoot sighting location, and a BFRO member did an investigation of this area and did a lot of talking with wildlife officials and stuff. And this area of Duchesne County, it doesn't dry up in years where there's droughts and stuff, it doesn't dry up. The creek always keeps going, and we found a lot of freshwater springs that feed the creek, so that may be a great reason why even in drought years there's water there. And Bigfoot sightings increase during these drought years, according to the wildlife officials' reports that are made to them. Well, we found footprints in there checking out a 1977 sighting location last year, and this year we decided just last week to go up there and do the sighting report at the actual location and fly the helicopter over it. So Derek had the drone, and he flies the helicopter up over the location, and one of our viewers finds a Bigfoot shaped anomaly on it. So we start looking at it, and where our viewer indicated, we have about 5 seconds of footage of something that doesn't line up with the shadows. The shadows are all at like a 6 degree or a 6
It's 6 o'clock.
A 6 o'clock angle, and this creature's angle is completely different, and it seems to be moving.
2 o'clock of the tree, so it definitely looked a little bit different. So it just puts it off to the right hand side of that tree.
It isn't enough. I mean, it's a Bigfoot-shaped object, but it isn't enough for us to say, hey, we caught Bigfoot. But it's enough that it warrants further investigation. It's a Bigfoot sighting hotspot. The creature's been seen coming out of the area where we captured it, so we want to go up and look for a bedding spot, footprints, and structures, snap-offs, anything that a Bigfoot would make. But yeah, the better the physical evidence, but it motivates us to go to the top of this mountain and look around.
Which might actually happen sooner than you think, because while these guys are going up to the Idaho-Montana border, chances are I might be taking my lady, and that's where she would like to go. So she saw it. She's actually really intrigued on it. She liked it. Probably helped that she was actually standing there when it happened, I guess. But
I mean, I have to point out that
Sasquatch, man, that's what it is.
What we put out, you know, after doing the breakdown, after doing the upload to YouTube and everything, it decreases the quality. We have the luxury of seeing the original, and the shape on the original is just great.
It is actually a pretty crisp image of
I'm not
something
going to
that
scream Bigfoot, but it's a Bigfoot shape. So whatever we got, it may be one of those NBA players that we think's been hoaxing us the last 5 years.
Well, the size of that shadow is that.
I think there's some retired NBA players that don't have anything better to do than go up and leave massive footprints, and build structures and bedding spots because they just want to mess with us. I think that's what's going on right here.
Just sarcasm. Cool. You got anything to throw on that? I know you watched it. I mean, you weren't actually up there, but you watched it.
I did watch it. And it's not
What we'd hope.
what?
What we'd hope for it to be.
Well, I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's a shape, and it's a humanoid shape, and it's dark shape, but it could be the outline of the tree, or it could be, I don't know what it is. I can't tell what it is.
See,
Well, none of us have a definite. I mean, we really can't lay a name on it. It's just Bigfoot shaped, and it warrants more research.
Yeah, we've never been up on top where we took a bit where it took.
where it actually.
Yeah, we've never been.
We probably would never go up there except for what just happened now.
Yeah, it's a real, it's a real far.
No, you got to hike to the top of a mountain. Brody has no problem. He'll drag us to the top of 3 or 4 mountains every time we take him out.
I'm sure that's going to be
as soon as Brody sees this footage, he'll be dragging us up there.
You know, the best thing that I think we got out of that, other than that, it's very cool. The fact that the first time flown within that canyon, we get some type of anomaly that warrants us looking at it. And it's not just us. I mean, you know, anybody that's watched it, seen, and that's just one venue right there in YouTube. All the different Sasquatch hangouts, Facebook different hangouts, and everything else that we're on. There are all sorts of people that are pretty adamant and actually pretty, you know, there's something there.
You never actually expect to catch footage like that. It was off towards the edge of the frame, and like Derek was stating on one of the comments, we're happy that we have a wide-angle lens.
Yep.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have caught it, but it was right at the edge of the frame, and you know, you never expect to find anything like that, and we really don't grill our videos and look for that stuff intently, but a viewer brought that to our attention. You know, and after several times of looking at it, we're like, yeah, there shouldn't be a shadow there. There's nothing that should be cast in a shadow there. And even if it was, it isn't at the same angle as the rest of the shadows in the video.
Let's put it in a little better perspective. If we come across stuff like that, more often than not, because I saw it the moment I looked. The moment I previewed that video straight off of the actual SD card, I saw it. But it's something that I'm going to leave it as it is and allow an actual, you know, one of our viewers to say, hey, you know, look at this.
To corroborate what you were thinking when you first
Exactly.
saw it.
And the moment that somebody else brings it up and says, hey, you know, that warranted further view. Because initially, you know what I'm hoping for is when I am staring through those goggles in a first-person view that I catch, because that FPV, you're not going to get as wide an angle. You know, I'll probably get like 170 degree, you know, standard definition view through those goggles. I need to be able to recognize that something just happened within a frame or within the video in that little screen, and be able to track it down and get good footage of it. You know, if it's something simple like that, something that just happened like that, I probably wouldn't have caught that on FPV. Not to mention, if I was a lot lower to the ground, I probably wouldn't have caught that either, unless it was literally pointed right at it. So some people say, you know, hey, get a little bit closer to the ground. You know, that would actually help. It wouldn't have in this case, unless chances are I was staring at that tree. Because the lower you get, the less visual you have of it. But I love the fact that you get to see all of Sasquatch Canyon, or just a big, huge, broad viewpoint, you know, of Sasquatch Canyon, and just how much terrain, how much of this area that they have that's completely, there's nothing there. There's not, I mean, there's a cabin up to a certain point, but as far as you can see up that canyon, there's not a cabin. There's nothing but that one road.
Oh, well, from that...
Well, it turns off into a couple. There's a couple roads that split off.
That point, there's about 12 miles to the next cabin. I mean, that's how remote it is.
It does actually split off, like, into, you know, some of the other areas. So there's a couple other places that you can take and drive off to, but it was just cool.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Say it.
No.
Please. Is there more out there?
More what?
Well, I know if you keep going at
the other direction, the other direction's another 12 miles. Where that's where this happened was about dang dead center of the canyon. I mean, you go 12 miles one way and you start hitting people's private residence cabins. About 12 miles the other way. So, I mean, you're right in the middle of the most remote spot you can get.
In that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 20 miles another direction is another famous remote hot spot, Skinwalker Ridge and Skinwalker Ranch. Those are pretty famous remote areas in the general location that we're at.
Yep. And taking that other left, I had to have driven easily that far, instead of heading back out of the canyon and back towards
Cedar,
yeah, Cedar Mountain or wherever. Going that other way, man, I drove for a long way. I mean, and it was a remote. You could tell that there would hardly be anybody. If it had been a rainy, you know, a lot of rain that had happened, I'd have probably been in trouble. Even in my big old Suburban, that thing you know.
Oh yeah, those
I
are
mean,
good.
you're staring at just wetlands. I mean, a big marsh. Ran into a moose when we were out there. That I'm going to post some pictures of a moose. And for all you people out there that don't think something that size can blend into its terrain, I'll show you this moose. I'll show you this moose picture. It's not an old moose, but I don't care what you want to say. A moose is a moose. It's a
the moose hides out in the open. It blends right in.
Blends right into these bushes.
You get a Bigfoot the same color as these moose, they blend right in.
Yep. It was about I don't know 100, 200 yards away from us. That was just on the far side, right at the edge of the actual tree line, and it was standing behind it. It stopped when I saw it. It stopped me almost in my tracks. It was like, hey, 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 you know, because there's something there. To me, I mean, there was something there, but man, we waited about 5 minutes. I got us between a couple trees, and we waited for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and you know, had Shelly sitting there staring at it, the kids trying to see it, and I'm like, it's right there, you know, just keep watching it, and it flicked one of its ears, and the ear went, and Shelly was like, oh my God, are you kidding? And after so long, it finally trotted out and got another picture of it, and I'll show you them side by side of how big the moose was, and you literally just blended right into that bush. It was like, holy cow. We shot it on video, but the pictures are still pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
And that was out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, total wrong direction. We let the dogs out. Took the dogs up there. That was a lot of fun. That was cool to have them. But let the dogs out to go bathroom and stuff, and kind of got turned around and went that wrong way. And I mean, it was a long, long.
Yeah.
Trey's at the backside. I think we went the wrong way. And so even Trey, you know, 11 years old, man, and he's already. He felt it. He knew we went the wrong way. That was cool. And anyway, that's an awful lot on a drone on the top of a mountain. It's a blob squatch, but I think it's pretty cool. I like it.
It's enough to warrant more investigation.
Okay. I say we bring up this next one. There's been, you know what, a lot of just discussion on exactly what this would be, where we're coming from. I'm going to talk about the eye shine footage. We've had people screaming raccoons. We've had, you know, nobody really knowing exactly what this is as far as we're concerned. And we mentioned that there's no way that we could believe that it's a raccoon sitting up in the top of a tree. It's just, to us, it's just kind of ridiculous. He's holding up a little scale here that we can actually take up and show you a little bit better if you want. But what it is here, you put this together. How about you explain what this is here?
All right, well.
And the context. I guess we really need, for any of you that really have not watched our eye shine video, it's not that long. I did a breakdown of it. We actually got the raw footage of it happening at the time. I think it's worth looking at. In fact, I would recommend that you actually watch the raw footage, because if you watch the raw footage, then put it side by side with the breakdown, you see the context of what was going on and what Mike and Kelly were talking about as it was happening. You know, here in the rock collects, smelling it. I mean, had been smelling it for 10 minutes. There's so many things. There's so many things that add up to an experience there that you know, word of mouth coming from something that happened right there. They were right there at the time. Changes so much to me, I think, at least when it comes from somebody credible. And I'm sorry, I've known this guy for 36 years now.
Or longer.
Oh, hell yeah.
Don't tell people how old we are.
It's actually longer than that, that we've actually known each other. So when it comes to credibility, I trust him completely with my life.
So anyway, we did a breakdown of some eye shine, and we did this before we actually released the video. This happened on November 9th of 2013. It was Mike Hansen and I, and we got some eye shine on an infrared camera.
We painted the eyes for you, though, just so they stuck out a little bit more for you. Some people might need it.
But anyway, we didn't see the eye shine on the video for probably a week or two after we shot the footage. And when we shot the footage, we hiked back into Rough Hollow at night, and we hiked in a couple of miles, hiked back out, and Mike kept on making me be quiet. And that's hard to do. And turning off the lights and stuff like that. Well, anyway, it was a very active time of the season where we were finding a lot of footprints, and Mike and I even found a trackway of footprints that night. An old trackway. But anyway, coming back out, me and him could smell this skunky body odor of what I think maybe a Bigfoot. We've smelled it a few times and stuff, and then we could hear something moving around on the rocks around us, making the rock clacking noise that a human would be walking on shell and stuff in a river bottom, because that's what we were on. It was an old river bottom with a lot of vegetation growing out of it, because it doesn't wash out that bad, but it still collects a lot of river rock. Well, anyway, a couple weeks later we got eye shine, and it's this stuff on the top. And the reason we know it's this stuff on the top for measurements is because at one point in time the eye shine's almost right above Mike Hansen's head, and this is the width of his head. And the inside
7.5 inches.
And the inside of the eye shine took up half of his head. So we're going to be conservative. That's 3 inches right there. And then here's an average human's right below it. Here's one of the biggest owl species.
Eagle owl.
We use one of the biggest owls. We don't have eagle owls in our area. We have barn owls, great horned owls. But I just wanted to use one of the biggest owls, just so that we can rule out an owl. You know, there's the biggest owl. And then right below it's a raccoon, and we had a couple of dweebs sit and try and tell us it was raccoon. They even went as far as photoshopping a raccoon into a picture frame of our video. And you know, the Bigfoot community, when someone hoaxes or photoshops a Bigfoot image, I mean, they're really looked down upon. Well, someone that's going to photoshop something to disprove or to try and prove their own opinion with a photoshopped image, come on, give me a break. You're just as low as anyone photoshopping a Bigfoot image. Okay, right down here on the bottom, this is a moose. And this is a conservative moose. This is about a 10-inch spread, and moose eye and shine can get wider. So we got something that's not a moose, not a raccoon, not one of the biggest owls, not an average human. And an average human, no human's gonna reflect eye shine. And so we're left with someone that has a minimum eye shine spread like this. And Mike was only like 4 feet in front of the camera, and this was off in the distance. And this is the exact dimensions that it is from a distance above Mike's head.
He took about 5 or 6 good steps.
You know, you take it 4, 5, 6 steps back, and then Mike's head right in front of the camera. So you tell me, I don't know. Maybe we caught a moose. Maybe we caught a moose, but we certainly didn't catch a raccoon. You Photoshop hoaxers, we didn't catch a raccoon. It was a moose, if anything. So you guys might want to go back to the drawing board and Photoshop a moose into one of your photographs that you make of our picture. So anyway,
give me this thing
there you go.
Raccoon.
All right, but anyways, Photoshop hoaxes.
I guess it was just more. I think
you're just as low as anybody that photoshops a Bigfoot.
Our point was more just to make that we actually spent the time to put an educated. We spent some time to realize exactly how big these things were before we.
We did the research before we come out and cover the suspect Bigfoot.
That's what that was supposed to be about. Okay, you know. The moral of the story is: do your research, do it in an intelligent way if you're going to rebuttal something. That's all that anybody could ever ask.
Don't hoax a photoshopped project to prove a point, because you're going to come out looking like a dumbass. ass in the end. Should we move on?
Sure. Where are we at here?
The one that runs up the hill.
Yeah, what we got actually running up the hill. That was earlier this week.
February 15th.
Middle of February. What do you think? Let's get your opinion straight off the bat, because you were pretty.
I want to explain this. I want to explain this situation before she gives her point. Jenny and I go back into this place, and it's our first time in 2014. It's the first time that the snows has subsided enough that we can get back in there. And we go back in, and it's pretty quiet. We get a few vocalizations, hear some chatter. Come back out. On our way back out, in the snow, we find some 17-inch footprints. Some older ones, several days old at least. And then we leave. And then we put up some video. One of the first videos that we put up, one of our viewers point out that something runs up the mountainside and hides from us. And we start looking at it on the original video, and I'm seeing a Bigfoot shape. It's what I see. I'm not calling it Bigfoot, but it's a Bigfoot shape. And it's dark brown. And then Derek does a breakdown on it. And, you know, we'll just leave it at that. But this is, what? This is the second time that we've gotten a Bigfoot shape on video in 6 months. And then the eye shine. And then all the corroborating evidence. And I want to show you guys a picture of one of the 17-inch footprints, and this was within a couple 100 yards of where the creature ran up the hillside and hid from us. And then the following week we brought Brody back in, and we went up on the hillside where this creature hid from us, and we found several Bigfoot-shaped footprints.
And found Lookout Canyon.
Yeah, we found
Right?
we found a bedding spot.
Yeah. Keep in mind before you move that, this footprint is bigger than this laptop. It's longer. To give it perspective of how big this actual image is, this picture.
It's like a full inch wider.
Do you think, are they going to be able to see that?
Mm-hmm. And if they can't, and if you can't really see it, okay, my footprint, I put my footprint in the bottom for perspective, and that's a fresh footprint, my footprint. This one we know was a couple of days old because it's been windswept with a little bit of snow. And anyway, that footprint is 17 inches long, and to put it in perspective, like Derek was saying, this pad's 16 inches. So that footprint was an inch longer than this media source I'm showing you. And then my boot is a little over 13 inches in length, and then a little bit over 4 inches wide. This footprint was 7.5 inches wide at the widest point right here. It was almost 8 inches wide, and then it was 17 inches long from the toes to the heel.
Oh, should we start some more up? Yeah, and for your raccoon guys, it's not a bear. It's not a bear. I mean, it's the same raccoon jokers that said that this was a bear.
Yeah, the same guys.
This was a bear's back foot.
These guys said that this was a bear. The same guys that are calling our eyes shine a raccoon. And we don't live in Alaska. We don't live along the coast of Canada. We don't have the large brown bears and the polar bears. So the guys that was calling this a bear footprint. What's more feasible in the northern part of Utah? Is this a polar bear? Is this a Kodiak bear? Or is this a Bigfoot?
Or is
What's more feasible?
Or is it what you typically find here, which the back leg, the hind leg of a large black bear, which is what you're going to find here in Utah, is 7 inches long. And that's a big black bear for Utah. That's simple. So, again, you know, it's just another one of those things that...
Even if the bear double-stepped in there, that's only 14 inches.
Yeah,
the largest bears in this region.
That's if they double step with their back feet.
It'd only be 14
You know,
inches.
yeah. absolutely. So again, it's just another one of those things. Just spend 5 minutes on Google and Google it if you don't know anything else. You know, before you go, just please, people in the Bigfoot world, use some common sense. Spend a little bit of time to research a situation before you go out and just call it out to be whatever the hell you want to. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, coming from where they are, it might be a complete different story, but I don't even think that the Pacific Northwest has bears that have 17-inch hind prints, and it's distinctly.
No, we don't.
Let's end that. You were going to give us your 2 cents about this whole thing too.
Yeah, I was.
So let's get it.
About the shape on the hill?
Yeah, on what you might think it is. I mean, we got some pretty good images that.
At
that
first?
Brody did some good breakdowns too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. At first, before they did the breakdowns, I saw a brown shape turn and run up the hill. Now, when I thought, well, maybe the hill's very steep, and it could be, if a bear was running up the hill, it could have appeared that it was standing up.
Yeah. But
then we went and we walked up the hill, and it's I don't know. It's just not that steep to make it look like a bear.
Yeah, it's still a pretty steep hill, though.
It's a steep hill, but I don't think that it made it.
What did you think about the footprints we found the next week up in the location where it was running and hiding from us?
Not to mention that, just in the video itself, I mean, that thing moved 30 feet up that hillside in a matter of boom, boom. It was there, up and gone.
You saw that footage dozens of times because you broke it down.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
But you were with us the next week when they found the footprints. What did you think about the footprints that we found up there?
Well, they were there.
Did you think they were a bear?
No.
What about Lookout Canyon? I mean, they had pretty good.
The bedding spot.
Oh, yeah, well, we've already talked about the bedding area.
And the handprint.
I found the handprint. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm not saying that. You guys asked me what you. You guys asked me what I thought about the thing running up the hill. Then you cut me off and didn't let me finish.
Sorry.
So, what do you want me to talk about?
Let's talk about the thing that ran up the hill.
Okay.
It's not definitive enough, is what you were.
No, I don't know what it is. I can't tell what it is. It's just a big, huge brown thing running up the hill.
Fair enough.
It is.
Yep.
Thanks for your honest opinion.
Okay.
Because I don't know what it is either.
Okay.
There is a couple of frames where it does look like a Bigfoot to me, where I believe I can see its head, its shoulders, its arm, and its leg, and its big old flapper. And when I talk about a flapper, it's big old 17-inch footprint. I mean, there's a distinct frame where I get all of that, and I apologize. I only see that on the original. The first one that we upload up to YouTube, everybody knows that YouTube loses some clarity when you upload automatically. And then the one with the breakdown, I don't see the flapper on those two, but on the original, I see the flapper of the thing. I see its foot, and I see it twisting and turning to run away from us. So, I mean, it's a pretty convincing frame to me.
I love it. The fact how it actually all turned out and stuff.
What's weird
I
is
really like it.
There was a great breakdown and everything. It's just not as clear as the original.
when we go back to the exact spot and stand where we were standing when it got filmed, it's really not that far away from us.
No.
It's not.
Like, well, it's further along.
Yeah.
It's about 50 yards from
About
us.
50 yards, and
It's a great location for it to observe us.
what stinks is I can't believe we were huffing and it was cold and we were talking, blah, 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 and that's probably why we didn't hear it, but it really wasn't that far away from us, so it's so disappointing that we didn't see it.
It was obviously pretty quiet running.
Yeah.
But I do have to say is I'm right now. I'm working on the full expedition video, and that'll be out in a couple of weeks of this day. When we got a couple 100 yards up the canyon from where this happened, her and I both on the side of the canyon where we spotted it, we hear something moving around, and we both talk about it and point the camera and try to be quiet. Yet it doesn't do it again, and you don't ever hear it on the camera, but we hear something moving around up on the mountainside. So it may have kept on shadowing us like they usually do. When we have Bigfoot activity, they shadow you, they escort you through their territory. When they're there, there's no doubt in my mind, they stick with you through the territory. And sometimes I think it's the sentry, the one that's for that day is on point. He sticks with you and he lets the clan or the family members and stuff know where you're at when you're at. They sometimes vocalize, they sometimes tree knock, but especially when we got the parabolic mic, we always suspected that we were being shadowed and would hear something once in a while. You got the parabolic mic, and he wore it on our most epic Bigfoot expedition and stuff. You can hear him shadowing you.
That's actually a good example of what, you know.
There's the parabolic mic right behind you. Show them what the parabolic looks like.
Those handprints and a lot of the actual footprints that we found on that were smaller. Mind you, we found the 19-inch, and we saw it a couple times. I mean, ran into it after that thing ran down the draw that you chased after like a mad out of hell.
You heard it before.
Yeah, I'm
That's
just
the
saying.
reason that keyed us in on it.
Parabolic.
You keyed us in on that thing with that parabolic.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I distinctly heard, and it sounded like 5 steps. I heard it. You know, boom, 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 boom. It was like 5 steps or so is what I heard on it. So yeah, and we sat there and stared down there for quite a while and figured that we had already lost it because, I mean, we had moved back up and around it at that point in time and figured that we had already went around it and whatever it was. But obviously whatever it was bedded down or just hunkered down and not moving.
I did find a bedding spot down there.
Yep. That 19-inch footprint led down into there.
Yep.
From
that was
from
the
up
direction
above
it was
from
going.
up above where we were hearing
Yep.
it
Yep.
move.
The right side of us as we were moving up there is
Yeah.
where it actually had come down.
Yeah, after I come out of that wash, you found that footprint immediately.
Yep. But that just kind of, I guess the point that I was making is I believe we had those juveniles, at least a juvenile or something. I think the family unit was back in there at the time when we walked in there, and that's why we had so much activity and there was so many prints, so many things that went on there, because you had the sentries on the side saying, hey, you know, giving that alert, something's coming.
I'd like to point out that the acorns were in season, and so were about 10 varieties of berries at that point in time. So that canyon was just full of food.
It was cool.
I mean, the elderberries were just thick, and the rose hips, and what you got, the Oregon berries, some strawberries, raspberries. I mean, there was a lot of food back there, and the acorns were just thick and plentiful that time of year.
It was a lot of fun.
It seems like when the acorns come into season, they're gone in about 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, but they chuck them at you first.
Yeah, we have had the acorns thrown at us in that canyon.
Well, I think that's all the breakdowns. That's all we really got we were going to talk about.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you guys where to find a couple of our videos that we talked about in this roundtable. One of the videos is that you might want to watch is Sasquatch Canyon Suspect Bigfoot Breakdown. Another one is Possible Sasquatch Caught on Aerial Footage. And the last one is Breakdown Suspect Bigfoot Eyeshine IR video. All 3 of these videos we've talked about in this.
You'll actually find them under popular. They're within the first like 10.
They'll actually be in breakdown videos.
I know, but the amount of views puts them in popular.
Okay.
But breakdown does work.
And you can also find them on our website.
Absolutely. Cool. No raccoons.
Yeah. You guys that are gonna hoax, just come up with something better than a raccoon, please.
Thanks for spending your evening with us. Have a good one.